Hello everyone. So I've been thinking a lot about what I can give back and how I can better serve the community or share what I've experienced, and so I've decided on this. So I just want to make a disclaimer that this video will contain difficult and sensitive and potentially triggering content, so keep in mind if you're watching that, and pay attention to your emotions and how you react. And if anybody needs to debrief following this, we can do that as well, just in private if you need that, or just reach out to someone that you trust. So the topic I wanted to talk about this today is suicide and suicidal ideation. So the reason I want to talk about this is because I think that we are progressing in the conversations we're having about mental health, particularly mood disorders, anxiety, and depression. I think people are starting to become more willing to discuss what they're experiencing, share those emotions, as well as seek help. We still have a long way to go, not saying that, but we've started talking about it, which is important. But I still feel like there's this taboo topic that is part of mental health, a huge part of mental health that only gets talked about often when, unfortunately, tragedies happen. So what we're talking about right here is suicide. And this includes suicide, suicidal ideation, intent, method, plan, okay? Attempts and completions. So I don't know where my thought was going with that. I think that the more we start talking about this, hopefully, the more we can support those people that are struggling, as well as take an active role in starting a dialogue about it, making it not a taboo topic, making it something that's part of everyday conversation. And I just want to say that the reason I'm okay with not okay, that's not a good word. The reason I might seem comfortable with talking about this is because I've been trained. I've done a lot of training with my work, as well as this is part of my work every day. I ask people about suicide and their suicidal ideations on a daily basis. It doesn't make it any less comfortable. It's still a terrible topic, but at the end of the day, asking those questions and hopefully having someone reach out if they are struggling is what matters. So that little bit of uncomfort that I experience is worth a million times if we can support someone who's struggling. So I wanted to share my experience. Like I said, that's the goal. So last year, or this past year, over a series of months, I experienced moderate to severe depression and anxiety. This is the second time in my life that I've experienced that. I'm not going to go into much of that experience for the purposes of this video. However, if people want to talk about it, or they want to hear my experience or share theirs, relate, I'm more than open to discussing everything. I'm an open book, and I think it's important to talk about. So during this time of my mental illness, and this is, like I said, the second time, I experienced suicidal ideation. What does that mean? Suicidal ideation are thoughts, so suicidal thoughts. So this is wanting pain to go away. In my case, just feeling so much pain you wish, like you feel like you can't go on, you want the pain to stop. So that's where mine stopped. However, when you're assessing for risk or suicide, you're going further than that. Do they wish they wouldn't get up in the morning? Do they actually have thoughts about killing themselves? Do they have a method? Do they know how they're going to go about this? Do they have an intention? Do they actually want to end their life? And do they have a plan? Did they start planning out how they started? Did they write a letter? Did they gather the method that they're going to do? So this all depends on the severity. So for me, it stopped at suicidal ideation, so thoughts. And throughout my mental health journey, I many times was asked the question, are you having thoughts of self-harm. And I said no. I said, however, I want the pain to go away, and I know that I can't live my life if this pain doesn't go away. So this is something that close friends and family know about me, but not everybody. And I'm okay with sharing this. One thing I don't want out of this video is for people to be commenting things like you're brave. Because to say I'm brave for sharing would be to say that people who aren't willing to share are not brave. And to me, those people are just as brave. They're just as brave for struggling in silence. They're just as brave for struggling with maybe one confidant that they reach out to. Just like people who are experiencing cancer or a chronic illness or an injury. They're all brave. They don't have to share to be considered brave. So that's one thing I want to talk about. Another thing is I think we need to start having these conversations, and we need to break down. There is this idea that if you talk about it, so if media shares that people are more likely to act. Science has looked at this multiple times, and it's actually not the case. When a person is experiencing suicidal ideation, they are so deep in that pain, and this is my experience, they're so deep in that pain that the outside influence of hearing about somebody else is it doesn't have a factor. They are already experiencing the pain. So how do we help them through that pain? That's more important. Okay. We in the world have heard recently about